we're doing to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Here.
Mayor Kruby.
Here. We all are here tonight, so welcome everybody. We have no citizens' comments, so we'll jump right on down to order of business. Under number 1, consent items. We have quite a few of them. We have A through G. We can pull any of them out or vote on them all as one item. Does anyone wish to pull any of the agenda items out or the consent items or for discussion, or is there any discussion on any of them, or do we want to vote on all of them?
I'll make a motion to approve consent items.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Okay, we have the results, 5-0. We'll move right along to item number 3, information items. These are all of the reports. If anyone wishes to pull any of the reports out and ask any questions, you may do so at this time. If not, then we'll entertain a motion to move right along. Any questions on the information items? Okay, number 4. Under administration, A, consider approval of resolution R-2021-02C, amending the comprehensive fee schedule for the city of Durant, Durant City Utility Authority, and Durant Airport Authority. Discussion. Discussion, consideration, and possible, well, I'm jumping ahead. Let's get this one over with first. Is there any discussion on this? I believe one of the things I remembered, Mr. City Manager, is dropping the business fee. That was one I specifically remember, from $100 to $25 a year. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's what the recommendation is.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to see us just drop that completely, just take it out of the ordinances itself.
I tend to agree, if that's obviously not the discussion here tonight, but I don't see where that's been effective, where we can measure the outcome. Obviously, based on the information I've received, it's not, participation is not even half, and I think it's a waste of city resources to continue to do that. So I don't know how that affects this tonight, but.
Well, it's not on the agenda for tonight.
Obviously.
Right, but what we could do, Danny, is go ahead and approve this, and then we could take that off next month. I think that thing was passed in 10 or 20 years ago. We just never implemented. So if we pass this tonight, then we could go ahead, if I'm correct, John, and we could just add it on the next agenda, if that's okay with everyone.
We can change the ordinance, if that's correct.
Okay.
We could change the ordinance. Another option, I suppose, is amending the fee schedule to $0 instead of the recommendation for 25 until such time as the ordinance gets changed. I mean, I
think that's a good start.
We could do that tonight. Tom, go ahead and make that motion, okay?
Yes.
All right, anybody want to make that, Danny?
I have another one I have a question about. We can
Okay.
continue. On page 38, it's the AMR antenna replacement fee. It says $175, and price includes the service fee. I'd like to know how that would come about. Are you saying if somebody damages one of the antennas, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. how are you gonna determine, I guess, my question is, whether it's malicious or not? Because I know some of these meters are not in the best spots in the world, they're not up in yards. Mine in particular is across my neighbor's yard and sitting on the alley, right on the asphalt, which it's been drove over before, not the actual AMR antenna. But the way this is written, in that scenario, if somebody runs over it, I'm responsible for it. Am I correct or not?
I think you would have to be able to prove that you were responsible for that.
But this fee schedule doesn't say that, and I guess that leaves room for interpretation. I guess that's the problem I have with it.
Okay.
Because there's other, I know businesses, a lot of them are in the parking lots, and these things are obviously not robust by any means. They look like they're plastic. And I don't know that I agree with that at all because of the room for interpretation on that particular one.
I intended to bring a picture of my installation. The antenna is laying out there just barely on top of the meter. There's about a foot of just loose wire, and I've walked outside, people have been parked on top of my meter, you know. It's just not, actually, I've been meaning to call about the installation on mine. Mine's just pretty sloppy. I mean, someone could be walking across there and catch their foot and trip. I mean, there's just a lot of loose wire there.
Okay.
I understand the intent of it, but I don't know how you're gonna determine between someone maliciously getting into the meter and destroying the antenna as opposed to it being done accidentally. And I guess that's the main issue I have with it. So I'm not sure how else you would address that, but
I don't know either. Okay.
that's all I have.
Any more discussion, or are we ready to call for a vote? Danny, do you want to make the vote?
I'll make a motion that we drop the fee for the business license to $0.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty here, so,
Probably the motion should be to approve the fee schedule with the amended numbers of $0.
And to not include the antenna.
Correct.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the fee schedule to include $0 on the business license and to remove the AMR antenna fee.
I'll second.
we have a motion, we have a second. Call for the vote. I might have to, well, let me- know where I am from there. Okay, motion passes 5-0. Number 4B, discussion, consideration, and possible action on award of bid for janitorial services. Any discussion? And I guess part 2, discussion, consideration, and possible action on, I don't know if we need to do this in 2 votes, do we, John?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, number B1, discussion, consideration, and possible action on award of bid for janitorial services. Discussion.
I have a question. Did Cherry Services of Caddo's contract end, or what happened to them?
I can answer that. Their contract did end. They had a 3-year contract which ended naturally. And then we went out for bid for another janitorial service, and they did bid. The bid tab sheet is attached to the item, but they had actually the highest of the bids that we received. You're welcome.
Okay, do we need to vote on awarding the bid under A, or do we need to go on to 2? Okay, do we have a motion that we award the bid for janitorial services.
I did have one other question, Madam Mayor. Cindy, in that contract, was there a exclusion where we could get out of the contract if it was unsatisfactory service?
There is a clause in there if either party, if they decide they don't want to do it, or we decide we don't want them to, I believe it's 30 days
Okay.
notice that we need to give to them. But we definitely have to have it in there for this type of service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Call for the motion for 4B1.
I move we award a bid for janitorial services for 4B1.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, call for the vote. Motion passes. Number 4B2, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a janitorial services contract with American Facility Solutions, Inc., C-2021-81. Discussion? Oh, I'll call for a motion.
I'll motion we approve the janitorial services contract with American Facility Solutions Incorporated.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, call for the vote. Motion passes. Number 4C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance O-2021-35, amending section 157.032 district regulations of the Durant Code of Ordinances and declaring an emergency.
Good evening.
Afternoon, Ms. Danielle.
Afternoon, evening, whatever, whichever it is. This is something that the Planning Commission asked back in September for staff to look at. We brought it back to the October Planning Commission meeting where they wanted staff to go ahead and include some setbacks within some of the commercial and industrial zoning districts. The primary ones was C3 and then I2 and I1 was the main ones that had the biggest changes. The only change that Planning Commission requested from their meeting this month was they wanted to have the side and rear setbacks in I2 to match I1. So that would change it to both of them being 10 and 20 feet respectively. And I can go over the setbacks if you guys would like, or if it's within your packet. Either one. If you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anyone have any questions? Okay. Call for the vote, section 1 and 2. Call for a motion.
I move we approve amending section 157.032 of ordinance 0-2021-35.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Sections 1 and 2.
Sections 1 and 2.
Sections 1 and 2.
Sorry.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Please record your vote. Motion passes. Number 2, C2, Section 3, Emergency Clause. Do we have a motion?
I have a question for someone. I know we've been told this 100 times, but why do we need an emergency clause for something like this?
It's not necessary.
Does it make it take effect immediately as opposed to
Yes, sir.
waiting till when?
Yes, sir, it does.
When, if we don't pass an emergency, when does it take effect?
30 days.
30 days?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Discussion, call for a motion.
I'll make the motion that we adopt the emergency clause.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second, call for the vote. Motion passes. Item number 4D, discussion, thank you, Danielle. Item 4D, discussion, consideration, and possible action on items related to the 2021 Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant, BRIC, project application in the amount of $1,907,824.40 for broadband infrastructure improvements necessary for mitigating risk throughout the city of Durant, to include protecting public infrastructure and community lifelines. Ms. Becca?
You want to repeat that one more time?
No.
We have a nationally competitive grant opportunity through FEMA, and this grant will actually be submitted originally to the state's emergency management at the end of this month, and then they will review it and submit it along with any others in the state of Oklahoma. And at this time, there's only 4 across the state. I think that we're the only broadband project at this time. I'm probably not the one that can speak with much education on the broadband, but in your narrative, it does state how it will connect our city facilities. And right now, there's approximately 17, but based upon a meeting that we had yesterday amongst staff, and actually, the emergency management of Choctaw Nation participated online with us, and then Ron Boyer with the county. We may be adding some other sites along with that, so that we can hopefully make sure that our entire city is connected with our critical infrastructures. And city manager and Ann Chin and James Dalton have identified the cash match that we'll need for the project. It will be a 3-year performance period once it's awarded, and I do not expect it to be awarded before June 30th. So it'd be 3 years beyond that, I can almost guarantee you. Any questions for myself or anyone else that can speak?
Is this installing fiber optic to these locations?
What was it again?
Is this putting fiber optic?
I
these
call it,
locations?
I think it's one and the same. Correct, James? Or Brenton?
Yeah, so this will be fiber optics to some of the critical infrastructure, water towers with communications for the PD, to the 911 center, to the water treatment plant, and we'll get those fiber. Currently, we're leasing it, but this would be city-owned.
Is this gonna be a sole source, or is there gonna be more than one vendor?
There'd be more than one vendor. Yeah, we'd go out for bids on that.
Well, I noticed that you got estimates from one, I guess, so they assisted
It's for
you in
grant.
getting your.
Yeah, that's for the grant purposes. And that's not a true bid, that's just, this is a price. And we'll go out for bid for that.
So are all these facilities connected now?
No,
No?
no, we'll be adding several locations.
That thing to me was real hard to read as far as understanding what it was talking about.
Yeah, it's a very high level, but
It's above my pay grade. Is there any further discussion?
Tom, can we vote on all of these with one vote, or do we have to do them individually?
You would have to do them individually.
Okay, we're voting just on the D part right now, the D1. Discussion, yeah, on the resolution R 2021-02. 21-26 to include the project budget?
Yes,
Okay.
that's the commitment for the match. That's part of the budget, yes, ma'am.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move we approve D1 to
We have
include
a-
the project budget.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, call for the vote. Uh-oh. I guess I did that right, I don't know. Motion passes. D2, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve submission of the 2021 FEMA brick application. You again.
Just, yeah, this
We
is
just
just
need-
so that I can state it in the application that we do have support from the council for the application. Yes, ma'am.
Call for the motion.
I move we approve submission of the brick application.
Okay. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, call for the vote. Motion passes. Boy, that's all jumbled together up there. Motion passes. D3, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize mayor to sign relevant application documents not requiring council action.
Yes, and I've learned over time that it's best to do this while we can, so we don't have to try to have a special meeting. Yeah, so, okay.
I move we approve D3 to authorize the mayor to sign relevant application documents not requiring council action.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, call for the vote. Motion passes. D4, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize city manager to sign relevant application documents not requiring an elected official signature. Call for a motion.
I move we approve D4 authorizing the city manager to sign relevant application documents not requiring an elected official signature.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Becca. Okay, number 4, under administration, number 4E, discussion, consideration, and possible action on an airport building and/or land lease template contract. Mr. James.
Mayor, council. Just to kind of bring you up to speed, since we've increased the length of our runway and we brought Lisa in as our economic development director, we've had quite a few people express an interest in possibly putting a hangar or a business at our airport. As a result of that, a lot of times they will want to lease the ground from us. We currently don't have any surplus buildings. I wish we did. We could lease them today if we did, but we have none. But so what we wanted to do was, in conjunction with our airport consultant, we developed a template so that if Lisa or John Wyatt has a prospective client, it at least allows us to present a document to them to begin negotiations. Our city attorney, Tom, has reviewed it, and we put it in a Word document form so that we can edit it when need to be, and then we would bring a final document back to you for approval. But we wanted to have something in place that stated the rules and then gives us a place to start. So that's what this document is that we're bringing to you tonight.
Thank you, James.
Yes, ma'am.
Any discussion?
Is this, pretty much standard? Did it come from the suggestions of the engineering company?
Yes, sir. We have consulted the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission. We've also consulted our consultant, KSA, and then our legal counsel, Tom, as well. So we tried to do the homework on it and make it as comprehensive as possible, but again, that gives us a starting point to work from.
Any other questions?
We just just to clarify one more thing, we just went through a similar situation with AirEvac. I don't know if we made you aware of it, but as of this month, AirEvac will station a helicopter ambulance at our airport. So that will cut down on response time and critical injuries or when we need that service. The reason we brought this forth to you was it took a long time going back and forth between Tom as our counsel, the airport consultant, and then AirEvac as well. So we thought this would be a good time to make this and kind of streamline this procedure a little bit.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. James? Any further discussion? Are we ready for a motion?
Make a motion to approve the airport building and/or land lease template contract.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Motion
Thank you.
passes 5-0. We will now recess out of the regular council meeting, and we will call to order the Durant City Utility. Did I miss something? Oh, I forgot, you gotta change. Sorry, Sandy. I get ahead of myself sometimes.
Everyone should go ahead and join to the meeting.
Okay. Well, I forgot how to do it.
Gotta leave the meeting and then join the utilities.
Keep getting on back here.
Right here.
Back there. Click on that. Okay.
I'm gonna leave this one.
Okay.
Go.
Oh, you're in the.
I'm gonna leave.
Yes, now don't leave. Oh, okay, leave.
And then go here.
Click on this one.
Okay.
And let's, yes. And
Gotcha.
over there, join that one, and then put yes.
Present voting. Gotcha. Say, thank you, Dan. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, it is now, I can't really see the clock, so I'm gonna guess. There's a glare up there. Looks like it's 6:42, and we'll call to order the Durant City Utilities Authority. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham,
Here.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear,
Here.
Chairman Groby.
Here. Under consent items, we have one item, number A, consider approval of regular call meeting minutes of November 9th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve consent item A.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
We have 2 seconds. Call for the vote. That's all right. Okay, okay.
Okay. Trustee Brittingham?
Aye.
Trustee Miller? Trustee Morris?
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear?
Aye.
Chairman Groby?
Aye, motion carries. Under information items, does anyone have any questions on any of these items from the different departments? If so, you may ask it this time. If not, we'll move on to 4A, consider approval of resolution R-2021-02C, amending the comprehensive fee schedule for the City of Durant, Durant City Utilities Authority, and Durant Airport Authority. Discussion. Is this is not including that same?
The same.
I think the motion could just be to adopt the fee schedule previously adopted by the Durant City Council, and that would
Take care.
incorporate the amendments.
Sounds like you, Councilman Miller.
I motion to approve the fee schedule previously approved by the Durant City Council.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would the secretary record the vote? Oh, you're gonna call it out? Oh, we're back on.
Tom, does this mean we won't have to do it for the airport authority
I'm
when we
not,
get there?
Cindy. I'm not on. It didn't have me on there. Aye. Okay, motion carries, 5-0. Is number 5, new business. Is there any new business? Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, and y'all are getting fast on this, the adjournment. We have a motion and we have a second. Would the secretary record the vote, please?
Everyone, put your votes in, and your vote, Mayor, Chairman?
Mine,
It's not, are you?
I agree, yes, aye.
Okay.
Okay, motion carries. We're now adjourned out. It is now,
Okay, let me have to.
okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna learn to wait on.
And everyone will want to
What time? I
join in.
can't see that clock. Is it 6? Are we ready, Cindy, or I did?
I'm waiting for you to join and Danny to join.
Okay. Okay. You got me? Okay, it is now 6:47, and the Durant Airport Authority is now in session. We'll call that meeting to order. Would the secretary please call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham?
Here.
Trustee Miller?
Here.
Trustee Morris?
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear?
Here.
Chairman Groby?
Here. Under number 1, consent items 1A, consider approval of regular meeting minutes of November 9th, 2021. Do we have a motion?
A motion we approve consent
Do we
items
have
A.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Call for the vote. Mine's working now, Cindy. Okay, motion passes. 1B, discussion, consideration, and possible action on an airport authority building and/or land.
That is under our consent.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I guess we'll move on to, let's go to administration for number 4. Consider approval of resolution R 2021-02C amending the comprehensive fee schedule for the city of Durant, Durant City Utility Authority, and Durant Airport Authority. You did that so good, Humphrey, you wanna do it again?
I motion we amend the comprehensive fee schedule previously approved by the city council of Durant.
Second.
That was fast. We have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. Motion passes. Number 5, new business, which I don't think there is any. Motion for adjournment.
Motion adjourned.
We have 2 motions for this, to adjourn today. Usually nobody wants to
I'll
adjourn.
second.
Steve, you seconded?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Call for the vote. Did I vote, Sandy?
I don't see yours.
Okay, I don't get,
Okay. Just tell me how you voted, Sherman. I know how everyone else voted before theirs lost.
okay, I voted to adjourn.
The motion did pass.
Yes, motion passed. We now will reconvene. It is, I get too mixed. We need to do something about the glare on that light, or I need to start wearing my watch. That's never carried. 1849. I know what that is, but I don't know if everybody- Are we all in? Everybody back in the city council? Okay. Are we ready, Cindy? Okay, it is 1849. John showed me his clock over there. And we will now reconvene back into the city council meeting. And number 5, executive session. Tom, am I gonna have to read all these? Just say we're going into executive session? That's it?
That's it.
Okay. We will now convene into executive session. Oh, I'm glad I didn't have to read all that. But, you know. Thank you, Tom. There's a lot of stuff to read.
Wasn't a lot of stuff, and there's nothing not looking at much to it.
That's usually the way it goes, ain't it?
Up to a certain amount.
Yeah, it's probably $1 million. Hey, really, you would have to do something really egregious to even.
Like I told you, I said, no taxation, I'm a vote.
And there's immunity.
I was against, I voted
As
against
a
it.
vote, there's general immunity, no matter what.
Even though I pay it every time I go someplace, you know, oh, that $150, that's not bad, then it's $225 when I check out, you know, because of all the fees.
Oh. Okay, okay. All right, everybody, we'll now return to session. Do we have a motion that we go back into session for the city council meeting? We don't need to have a motion? Okay, we are now back in regular council meeting. And number, let me see, it's number 5. Executive session, all executive session items 1 through 4, there's no action. Number 6 is new business.
Madam Mayor, I've got an item of new business. It wasn't on the agenda for the executive session. It probably is not something that's necessary, probably at this point, to be an executive session, but it's something I wanted to make the council aware of. Recently, within the last couple of weeks, there was a lawsuit that was filed by the Bryan County Commissioners, and it's a declaratory judgment, which means you're not really suing somebody because you want damages against them. You're suing, asking the court to make a decision on something. And in this case, what it's about is a few years ago, about 10 years ago, there was passed by the voters a 1/4-cent sales tax to benefit essentially the fire protection services. And the proceeds of that tax were to be divided equally among the Bryan County Fire Departments and the comm center. So shortly thereafter, there's a volunteer fire department, or there was called the Lakewood Volunteer Fire Department. It was out west, and it has effectively ceased to exist. It doesn't respond to fire calls and has been that way for a while. So the money that was due Lakewood Fire Department pursuant to the terms of the tax has been accumulating. And so there's $160,000 or $70,000 that has accumulated, and the county has essentially asked for the court to do something with that money. And I think what generally the thought is just to divide it equally among the remaining departments, and then from here forward, instead of taking that Lakewood portion, stacking it away, sort of reallocate and divide the tax as it comes in among the departments in the comm center. So we don't have a decision yet on what the court's going to do with that. There may be a circumstance where one of the departments says, hey, we think we're entitled to more than just a share of that because we've been the ones responding to the Lakewood, what would have been the Lakewood calls, but that's not really how the tax is allocated. It's not allocated on a per call basis. Otherwise, Durant would get a whole lot more of the money than just an equal share from all the departments. So
Where exactly is Lakewood? Where is there?
I don't know where the Lakewood Fire Department is. Is that west somewhere? Yeah, kind of between, somewhere around, kind of between Silo and West Bryan County.
Is it on Highway 70?
No, sir, you take North Ranchette Road and go back toward Lakewood Ranchette.
So probably Silo or West Bryan County would have been.
Silo is going to go toward that area.
Okay, so, but as a general rule, the tax has been dispersed sort of just on an equal basis from for each of the departments, no matter how large, how small, or how many calls they respond to. So I suspect that's what the court will do, but there may be some other resolution to it. But that's what that that's what that case is, and I just wanted to bring it up because in the suit, the county named Lakewood Volunteer Fire Department and then all other fire departments in the county, including the Durant Fire Department. So the city, through the fire department, is a defendant in the case, and I just want to make you aware of that. Okay?
Thank you, Tom. Any questions for Tom? If not, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the secretary please record the vote? I think you said you didn't call them.
Yep.
Okay.
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion passes, or we passed it. Hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas. We'll see you next year. Another one under our belt.